By now, you've almost certainly heard about AI startup CEOs like Sam Altman running around and trying to tell everyone that we're fast approaching the singularity moment. And you either know exactly what they're talking about and have very strong opinions about it, or this is all just technobabble to you, but you have at least a passing curiosity about what's going on and what new AI feature is about to be stuffed into your apps against your will next. Well, if you find yourself in the second camp, I got you. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the singularity is. You can't do Morpheus and Kirk at the same time. You have to pick one and stick with it. Okay? Got it? Okay. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the singularity is. Now, no, wait a second. Yeah, you totally can. It's actually not that complicated. Well, the concept and its origins, not what it's been turned into. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. The technological singularity, also sometimes known as the Nerd Rapture, comes from a highly speculative paper from the early 1990s that became a pseudo-religion in Silicon Valley. In 1993, computer scientist and sci-fi author Vernor Vinge wrote a paper for NASA called The Coming Technological Singularity: How to Survive the Post-Human Era, detailing 4 scenarios he thought could significantly change humanity as we know it. Like, throw away all the rules, we're going to need to radically rethink how things work if this happens, because some fundamental assumptions are going to no longer hold and we'll have to account for it very rapidly. The options he laid out were: 1. We build an AI system smarter than any human, something he didn't seem to think was likely to happen, just a really big deal if it did. 2. A bunch of computers running AI systems achieve something greater than the sum of their parts and become that super smart, intelligent system. He also kind of breezed over that as maybe, probably not, but would be pretty mind-blowing if it happened. 3. Cyborgs hooked up to AI will become incredibly smart and capable compared to any biological human. Personal hot take: I think this is probably the most likely scenario out of all 4 given my understanding from the relevant papers. We're doing amazing things with implants, graphene, and using AI to make those implants a lot more powerful. I would also like to note that none of those breakthroughs came from Elon Musk and Neuralink. Those guys' contribution to the field was a pile of dead monkeys who died in just absolutely awful ways. But you can probably see why Musk was so excited to try this and bought the rights to the company. Scenario 4, same as above, but with genetic engineering. Basically, we're going to CRISPR our way to super smart humans. Personal room temperature take: if we do get scenario 3, this will probably be next, so we can expand into deep space exploration and as a product of life extension research. Given Vinge's optimistic take on how quickly computers were progressing at the time, he gave 1 or more of these scenarios about 30 years to come to fruition. Okay, so what's the singularity part and where does the nickname Nerd Rapture come from? The paper says that maybe, one day, we will compare the world that we know today and the world enabled by one of these scenarios, a world that would be unrecognizable to us, like we pass through a singularity. Another little aside: like the core of a black hole, or at least what we think is at the core of a black hole, a singularity isn't really a set of coordinates in space. It's not a where, it's more of a when. The whole point is that space and time flow toward it like a waterfall, which is why you can't escape it. It would be like trying to escape entropy itself. And it's also probably shaped like a donut. But now I'm getting way off track. Back to Vinge and the singularity. Obviously, a lot of people don't even hear about this paper because it's very speculative, blue sky thought experiments. Nothing wrong with that. Engineers and scientists do it all the time just to see what happens or if they manage to think of something cool and nudge research along in promising directions. Enter computer scientist Ray Kurzweil and philosopher Nick Bostrom. I remember that first scenario which Vinge introduced as, I don't know, folks, this one feels kind of iffy to me, but let's just include it for completeness sake. Yeah, they're now obsessed with it. Kurzweil grabs a hold of this idea that we could one day build an AI modeled after the human brain and transfer our consciousness to it, and just runs away with it. He makes a lot of other predictions about the future of technology too. All of them wrong, by the way. He's about as accurate as a hotline psychic on the subject. Bostrom does some back-of-the-envelope math based on MIT academics' of the envelope math for a reporter, and then decides he knows when computers will become smarter than humanity. He starts appearing on pop-sci documentaries talking about this, writes a book, starts a blog really popular with people now really into the singularity idea, and recruits, well, a Harry Potter fanfic writer who's really into base theorem to create a hub for discussing this future dream world that they've set up. Kurzweil, Bostrom, and Yudkowsky all talk about this as if this is a done deal and have their friends publishing all these papers on speculative computer science where the relevant system is just a black box that is 100% going to be smarter than all of humanity put together. And it works. People are really into it, including tech executives who are marinating in this idea that yes, the scenario Vinge was least enthusiastic about will totally happen. Just a matter of time. A glorious moment where technological advancement will remake the world into the cyberpunk novel of their dreams with them as the arbiters of the new world order. And then one glorious day, they'll figure out mind uploading and continue to rule forever. Or, as long as they're data centers and power. Kind of like the Rapture. But for nerds. Just a little more time, a little more elbow grease, and another look at the elaborate mythology they've set up for themselves, like graphs proving that we're due for this breakthrough based on cherry-pick events in human history. Finally, at long last, they got ChatGPT. If you did the math, you know that it was officially released into the wild just 2 months before Vinge's 30-year deadline, which is why so many AI and singularity enthusiasts were over the moon. If ChatGPT and other large language models were intelligent, that meant the amazing world of the singularity was coming true. Now they can take that black box, label it LLMs, and flip off the skeptics. Now, there's a number of problems to that, mainly that LLMs are just really good at mapping tokens that represent words, phrases, and rules of a language to each other, then infer the statistical probability of what words belong together and pretty much nothing else. But that doesn't matter. People think it's smart, the press is impressed, and maybe, if LLMs can do it, humans also really can, and we're all just meat-based probability calculating machines because surely the brain works just like a computer. Except for the part where it totally doesn't. But that's a different topic, one I can get into later. For now, the important thing is that you know what the singularity is, why Silicon Valley is buzzing about it, and why so many people seem to be a little too attached to defending LLMs as our future robot overlords. Okay, so I know this went a little fast and was kind of dense. I also know there are things I need to explain in more detail, and I absolutely will. I got a whole list of topics to dive into in hopefully digestible chunks so I don't just hit you over the head with a 6-hour-long presentation. Mostly because I feel like that would fall under the rubric of a war crime. But let me know in the comments which topics I should hit first and what questions you really want to see answered. Also, feel free to tag me in videos where stuff just sort of doesn't add up for you, and I'll do my best to either answer or tell you that I don't know and who might be a better resource for you. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.